In the vast and intricate tapestry of human psychology, there are few phenomena as profoundly captivating as the sudden, silent alignment of two entirely different minds. We live in a world that often demands noise, a society that praises the loud, the visible, and the superficial. Yet, beneath the surface of this bustling, modern existence, there exists a quiet sanctuary where true connection is forged. This is a story about the architecture of the human soul. It is a cinematic journey into the rare, almost mystical dynamic between two of the most misunderstood archetypes of the human personality. On one side, we have the fiercely analytical, fiercely independent logician, a mind that operates like a vast, starlit galaxy of theories and endless possibilities. On the other side stands the advocate, a deeply intuitive, profoundly empathetic spirit, navigating the world through the unseen currents of emotion and human meaning. To the untrained eye, these two forces might seem destined to remain on opposite shores. One builds fortresses of logic, while the other tends to gardens of emotion. But nature, in its infinite wisdom, loves a paradox. Today, we will explore the profound reasons why the deeply rational mind is so intensely, irrevocably drawn to the deeply intuitive heart. This is not merely an analysis of personality traits. It is a testament to the beauty of human vulnerability, the pursuit of truth, and the quiet magic that happens when a mind searching for answers finally meets a soul that understands the questions. To truly understand this extraordinary bond, we must first step into the solitary, echoing halls of the logician's inner world. Picture a grand, dimly lit library, stretching infinitely in every direction. The shelves are filled not with books, but with blueprints of the universe, complex equations, philosophical paradoxes, and relentless questions about how the world functions. This is the mind of the deeply analytical thinker. They are driven by an insatiable hunger for objective truth, constantly dismantling concepts to see the gears turning beneath. However, this magnificent intellect comes at a heavy cost. The analytical mind is often incredibly guarded. Because they process the world through rigorous logic, the chaotic, unpredictable realm of human emotions feels alien, even threatening. They build towering walls to protect their inner sanctuary, often appearing aloof, detached, or coldly indifferent to those who do not possess the patience to look closer. They observe humanity from a self-imposed exile, craving connection, but terrified of being misunderstood by a world that rarely speaks their language. They walk through crowded city streets, feeling entirely alone, carrying the heavy burden of thoughts they believe no one else could possibly comprehend. And then, walking softly into this fortress of solitude, comes the intuitive empath. If the analytical mind is a complex library, the intuitive soul is a deep, ancient forest at dawn, attuned to the slightest shift in the wind. They do not navigate life through rigid formulas, but through a profound, almost supernatural perception of human emotion. They can walk into a room and instantly feel the silent grief, the unspoken joy, and the hidden anxieties of everyone present. They are the gentle readers of the unwritten word. What makes them truly extraordinary is their ability to see past the masks that people wear. While society might look at the detached intellectual and see only a cold, unapproachable wall, the empath looks at that same wall and sees the trembling hands of the architect who built it. They possess an emotional intelligence that pierces through defense mechanisms with astonishing grace. They do not force entry into the guarded fortress. Instead, they wait patiently at the gates, offering a quiet, non-judgmental warmth that the logical mind has rarely, if ever, experienced. It is this exact dynamic that sets the stage for a connection that defies all conventional logic. The first profound reason the logical mind becomes utterly captivated by the empathetic soul is the rare, intoxicating sensation of being completely understood without having to utter a single word. For the highly analytical person, explaining their intricate inner world to others is an exhausting, frustrating endeavor. They are so accustomed to translating their complex thoughts into simpler terms for the rest of society that they often choose silence over the exhaustion of being misinterpreted. But when they encounter the intuitive empath, the need for this translation suddenly vanishes. The empath possesses an uncanny ability to read the subtle nuances of the logician's behavior. A slight shift in posture, a lingering silence, a momentary downward glance. The empath catches all of these micro-expressions and weaves them into a perfect tapestry of understanding. They know intuitively when the logician is retreating into their mind to recharge, and they know when that retreat is a silent cry for help. To the logical thinker, this feels like an absolute revelation. It is the sudden, breathless relief of setting down a heavy burden they have carried their entire lives. This unspoken understanding creates a sanctuary of profound psychological safety. The logician, who spends their days fiercely defending their intellectual autonomy, suddenly realizes they do not need to wear their armor here. The intuitive soul recognizes that the logician's silence is not a void, but a canvas painted with incredibly dense thoughts. They do not demand constant verbal reassurance, nor do they pry open the logician's mind with invasive questions. Instead, they sit comfortably beside the logician in the quiet. This gentle acceptance is a healing balm to the analytical mind. It whispers a profound truth that the logician has waited a lifetime to hear. It tells them, "You do not have to perform for me. You do not have to organize your chaotic thoughts before you present them to me. I see you exactly as you are in all your brilliant, tangled complexity, and you are entirely safe with me." This absolute acceptance lays an unbreakable foundation of trust, a trust that is rarer than gold for a mind that questions everything. The second pillar of this extraordinary connection is the provision of emotional depth without the threat of a flood. Highly analytical people experience emotions just as intensely as anyone else, perhaps even more so because they keep them bottled up for so long. However, they lack the internal tools to process these feelings efficiently. When strong emotions arise, the logician's instinct is to analyze them, to dissect them like a scientific specimen until they make logical sense. But emotions defy logic. Consequently, situations requiring deep emotional vulnerability often feel like standing on the edge of a terrifying, chaotic abyss. Other highly emotional individuals might overwhelm the logician, pouring out torrents of feelings that cause the analytical mind to shut down completely in self-defense. But the intuitive empath is different. They are deeply emotional, yet perfectly composed. They offer a warmth that is steady, like a quiet hearth fire on a cold winter night, rather than a blazing inferno that threatens to consume everything in its path. The empath possesses an innate respect for the logician's emotional boundaries. They are the maestros of pacing in a relationship. When the logician tentatively steps into the waters of vulnerability, the empath meets them exactly where they are. If the logician needs to retreat back into the safety of their intellect, the empath nods and allows them to go, never punishing them for their hesitation. This delicate, graceful dance teaches the logician that emotions are not a chaotic force to be feared. but a beautiful landscape to be explored at their own pace. The empath acts as a gentle, experienced guide through the emotional wilderness. Because the empath does not smother or demand, the logician ironically finds themselves wanting to open up more. They begin to share their hidden fears, their childhood wounds, and their deepest insecurities. Knowing that the empath will catch these fragile confessions with absolute tenderness and unwavering respect. It is a quiet revolution within the logician's heart. As we move deeper into this dynamic, we encounter the third reason this bond is so vital. The intuitive empath brings a much-needed, gentle structure to the beautifully chaotic world of the logician. The mind of a pure thinker is a tempest of perpetual innovation. They are the visionaries, the idea generators, the ones who can see 1,000 different possibilities from a single starting point. They dream in a grand, sweeping scale. Yet, this boundless creativity is precisely their greatest vulnerability, because their mind is constantly jumping from one brilliant idea to the next. They often struggle immensely with the mundane reality of bringing those ideas to life. Their world is littered with half-finished masterpieces, abandoned projects, and disorganized chaos. They are balloons drifting endlessly in the sky, brilliant and vibrant, but entirely at the mercy of the wind. The empath steps into this brilliant chaos not as a dictator imposing rigid rules, but as an anchor holding the balloon gently to the earth. Empaths possess a natural inclination toward resolution, purpose, and meaningful structure. They see the towering potential within the logician's scattered blueprints and feel a quiet, unwavering determination to help them build it. They do not micromanage or nag. That approach would instantly drive the independent logician away. Instead, they offer subtle organization. They listen to the logician's sprawling, chaotic brainstorms and gently distill them into clear, actionable visions. They might ask a simple, piercing question that suddenly brings the logician's entire theory into sharp focus. They help prioritize, not by enforcing deadlines, but by reminding the logician of the deeper meaning and purpose behind their work. For the analytical mind, having a partner who not only comprehends their wildest ideas but actively helps them navigate the practical world to achieve them is nothing short of miraculous. The empath transforms the logician's abstract brilliance into tangible reality, acting as the quiet architect of their shared future. But perhaps the most intoxicating aspect of this relationship, the fourth reason that binds their souls together, is their shared, fervent devotion to the depths of human conversation. In a modern society obsessed with trivialities, where small talk about the weather, celebrity gossip, and superficial daily routines dominate social interaction, both the logician and the empath feel like aliens stranded on the wrong planet. To them, superficial chatter is not just boring. It is physically draining, a hollow echo of wasted time. They both crave the deep, the obscure, and the profound. When these two minds finally sit down together, the mundane world melts away. They do not exchange pleasantries. They dive immediately into the deep end of the ocean. They create a private universe where hours slip by entirely unnoticed, consumed by midnight symphonies of thought that would leave anyone else utterly exhausted. The logician brings to the table an incredibly sharp, rigorous intellect. They want to dissect the nature of reality, debate the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, or explore the paradoxes of quantum physics. The empath meets this intellectual fire with their own profound philosophical insight. They steer the conversation toward the human element, discussing the meaning of existence, the evolution of the soul, and the invisible threads that connect all living things. It is a breathtaking intellectual dance. The logician challenges the empath's ideals with sharp logic, ensuring their visions are grounded in reality. In return, the empath breathes life and human purpose into the logician's cold, abstract theories. They challenge each other, provoke each other, and elevate each other to intellectual heights they could never reach alone. Neither of them ever tires of this mental sparring. For the first time in their lives, they have found a partner who can run alongside them in the vast meadows of the mind without losing their breath. The fifth reason this bond is so unbreakable is rooted in their mutual, uncompromising worship of authenticity. The logician operates on a foundation of brutal honesty. They view intellectual integrity as the highest moral virtue. They abhor pretense, manipulation, and the countless social masks people wear to gain approval. They would rather face a harsh, ugly truth than a beautiful, comforting lie. This bluntness often alienates them from a society that values polite fictions. However, the empath, driven by their deep moral compass, operates on the exact same wavelength of sincerity. Although the empath is much softer and more diplomatic in their delivery, their core desire is exactly the same. They want the raw, unfiltered truth of the human soul. When the logician speaks their blunt, unvarnished truth, the empath does not flinch. They do not get offended by the lack of sugarcoating. Instead, they feel a deep surge of respect. The empath sees the logician's blunt honesty not as cruelty, but as the ultimate form of respect. It means the logician trusts them enough to remove the filter. In turn, the logician is deeply moved by the empath's unwavering dedication to their own moral values. The logician observes the empath moving through the world with a quiet, fierce grace, refusing to compromise their integrity for the sake of convenience. This mutual recognition of pure, unadulterated authenticity strips away all the exhaustion of modern dating and social interaction. There are no games here. There is no guessing what the other person is truly thinking. In a world full of shadows and illusions, they become absolute lighthouses of truth for one another. This shared integrity creates a fortress of loyalty so strong that external judgments and societal pressures simply bounce off its walls. They stand together in the raw light of truth, fiercely proud of the genuine soul they have found in each other. Finally, we arrive at the beautiful culmination of this dynamic. The sixth reason, and perhaps the most transformative, is the way the intuitive empath slowly, patiently inspires the analytical mind to awaken emotionally. For years, the logician may have lived under the assumption that vulnerability is a weakness, an equation that cannot be solved and must therefore be avoided. But the empath, simply by existing as their true, compassionate self, rewrites this equation. The empath leads by quiet example. They show the logician that immense strength is required to forgive, to grieve, and to love openly without guarantees. As the logician witnesses the empath navigating the complexities of human suffering with such immense grace and resilience, their respect turns into profound admiration. Slowly, the thick ice surrounding the logician's heart begins to thaw. They realize that their powerful intellect does not have to be a shield against the world. It can be a tool to better understand the beautiful, messy, emotional reality they share with their partner. In this sanctuary of trust, the logician learns to speak the language of the heart, while the empath finds an unbreakable intellectual anchor. They become a masterclass in human synthesis. The logician and the advocate, the mind and the soul. They prove that our profound differences are not divides meant to separate us, but the very puzzle pieces required to make us whole. The logician finds the warm, safe harbor they subconsciously searched for all their lives, a place where their complex mind is cherished and their hidden heart is brought into the light. The empath finds an equal, a genuine protector of truth, who grounds their boundless compassion in reality. It is a rare, breathtaking collision of two worlds, creating a shared universe that is infinitely richer, deeper, and more beautiful than either could have imagined alone. May we all be fortunate enough to find a connection that challenges our minds and awakens our souls in such a profound, enduring way. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the depths of human connection. May your path be illuminated by truth, and may your heart always find its understanding counterpart.